Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Mathew and Andy. It's a podcast with two great mates. It's me, Mathew. I'm Mathew Hulbert from Hinckley in Leicestershire. Yeah, much love. And this is my friend Andy Chandler from Stoke-on-Trent. Andy, how are you?
I'm fine, Mathew. We were just speaking off air because I live in some flats and it is now winter season here in the UK. I'm not in the Bahamas. I am still in Stoke-on-Trent, as Mathew mentioned. And you did ask me where I'd prefer to do my Christmas, Bahamas or Stoke-on-Trent. And I did admit the Bahamas. I mean, I'm not that loyal to my town. Sorry, Stoke. Sorry, people in Stoke. If any viewers from Stoke is watching this, I apologise, and please don't unsubscribe. Please don't.
Oh, fuck this, I'm out of here. Get that fire exit door. I'm off.
But no, the reason I'm wearing this is that because I live in some apartments, and you know how like heat travels if you live in like apartment buildings and stuff like that. And I think with it now being winter now, it's good for energy bills for me. So it's good on that sort of note. But because everyone's in the building and heat rises and it's going through the walls, I got really warm in my property. And just before we started recording, I was just absolutely sweating like a sinner in church, as my mum would say. So that is why I'm wearing this. I took off what I was going to wear, this colourful rainbowy type shirt, and I'm just wearing my vest now. So I am not in the Bahamas.
Well, you're looking very casual.
Well, it's fitting for a cozy podcast, right?
It absolutely is. Yeah, I was going to say, we like to think of ourselves, although it's ironic because neither of us have got one on, but I like to think of us as like a cozy warm jumper or a cozy cuppa of a podcast. And speaking about that, Andy, and viewers of our social media will already know this, but for those of you that don't follow us, first of all, you should follow us individually and our pod as well on Twitter, and we'll find out about that. Yeah, it'll be in the description below. But we've been in the paper this week. Yes, we've been in my local paper. There we are, in the Hinckley Times.
And we can only thank Mathew for this because someone in I think when we posted that, I think someone in the comments said, "Oh, thanks, guys," as like we're a team. Now we are the team. So literally the editing, obviously it's our channel, but editing, post-production, social media, it's basically everything. Me and Mathew. We do not have a production team behind us. No. But on this occasion, this was purely on Mathew's part. And I'm so grateful. And it's just fantastic to get in the local news and to sort of get that little bit of visibility and profile. How did you get about doing that, Mathew?
I have a really good relationship with the good folks at the Hinckley Times. I mean, I've either written for the paper or been featured in the paper pretty much ever since birth, to be honest with you, because I've always lived in this patch, and I'm sure that my birth was announced in the Hinckley Times. And I sometimes think to myself that my death will probably be announced in the Hinckley Times as well. But yeah, so I occasionally send them stuff, and sometimes it gets printed, sometimes it doesn't. Bit of a lottery. But yeah, I was just, there I was flicking through the pages this week and up we popped. So, yeah, so it's just really nice. And I do think that's a lovely photo of us. That was from your last visit.
Yeah, I think I took that picture, didn't I?
You did?
Yeah, it was on my last visit as well.
We were in number 1 cafe in Hinckley.
There we go, a plug there. We like to support the local economy. I'll have to treat you to one of my favourite coffee spots for when you come down to Stoke-on-Trent for you, Mathew.
Well, just on about that, and you'll know this, Andy, but for our viewers and listeners, I was almost abandoned in Stoke-on-Trent this week. Oh, which, I'm not saying that would have been a problem, but it wasn't where I was meaning to be on this occasion. So, yeah, people may or may not know that on the Tuesday, we're recording on the Friday, but this past Tuesday, I had the very great honour and pleasure of being on Cross Question on LBC with the wonderful Ian Dale. And so I travelled down to London on the day, did that, was getting the train back late on Tuesday evening, all set to get off the train at Nuneaton, and then I'll just have a little taxi ride back to Hinckley, the next town where I live, and all would have been well with the world. Anyway, in and out of Nuneaton on the tannoy. I got up, got to where getting ready to get off the train, and it was by Nuneaton. I was like, okay. So then an announcement came on. We're sorry, we were unable to start at Nuneaton. Please go to the the manager's office on this carriage to find out what is going to happen. Anyway, so turns out there was about 6 or 7 of us that were supposed to get off at Nuneaton. And the train manager said, "No, I've got no I don't want to say that she wasn't telling the truth. I don't want to say that. But she said, I'm sorry, we couldn't stop for health reasons." For health reasons.
What, the train? Was the train unwell?
What was that? For health reasons.
Maybe it was you, Matthew, because you've been a little bit unwell this week, and you actually went to the studio with a bit of a cold, with a head cold. So maybe they saw you and thought, "Oh my God, he's got like the bubonic plague." Bubonic plague? Yeah.
So anyway, and she said, so I'm really sorry about that, but what you're going to have to do is that you're going to have to get up at the next stop, which is Stoke-on-Trent.
My town.
And then the company will pay for a taxi back to Nuneaton. So a number of things about that. So I thought, part of me did think, oh my goodness, has she just said that? And then we'll get off the train at Stoke and just be abandoned. In which case I would have definitely been on the phone to you, Andy, to see if I could come and stop with you, because that would have been a bit frightening.
Yeah, because...
But thankfully we got off and there was a taxi there. But just think of this, right? How often must that happen that train companies are then having to fork out taxi fares for people to take them back to where they should be?
I'd like to think it doesn't happen a lot, or else I'd be a little bit nervous getting on the train.
Yeah.
As much as I would like to visit Edinburgh, I wouldn't like to end up being there if I was trying to make my way down to Birmingham or somewhere like that. Well, that would be like nigh on impossible if one's going south, one's going north. But yeah, like, you would have been more than welcome to come down, Matthew. I'm just glad you got home safely, because when you text me, I was like, wow, I was like literally getting bed sheets and everything. I was like looking in my drawers thinking, what have I got spare? And then I think you messaged saying you were getting back in a taxi, but that was pretty bad.
I finally got home. Thankfully, the taxi driver, the train company had paid to Nuneaton, but I obviously then needed to get to Hinckley, and by this point it was whatever time it was. And so I said to the taxi driver, look, can I then pay you the whatever it is extra to take me to Hinckley? He said, yeah, that's fine. So at least I only had to get into the one taxi and I got home. But I finally got home at 25 to 2 in the morning. Yeah.
That's a late one. That's a late one.
And to be honest with you, I mean, I wasn't feeling great anyway, but ever since then I've been feeling really not great. I think it just kind of zonked me out, so it wasn't good.
I repeat again, I'm so sorry you had that really terrible experience on the train. That should just not happen. Like I said, the excuse, health reasons. Well, when they told you to go find the manager, that sounded sinister to me. I was just like, where is this? I don't know. I think.
All I can tell you, Andy, is that you'd have been proud of me. I remained really calm during all. I mean, I was fed up, obviously. I was annoyed, but I remained really calm during all of this. Whereas one of the other 2 passengers, and I'm not knocking them, they were obviously frustrated, but got really quite kind of angry, But I just thought the situation is what it is. We've gone past Nuneaton now. There's no point moaning about that. It is what it is. As long as I get home safely, that's fine. But a number of them were saying that they were seeing social media messages of people who were on the platform in Nuneaton wanting to get up on that train.
Of course.
Who said that it made no attempt to stop. It just sailed through. So they think that this whole health reasons thing was an excuse.
That's not great. And I don't think it helps the situation, because we can access news on on phones, and news just travels really quickly. And I don't think there's any harm just saying, our driver just went past in mistake. You can either do in white lie. If it's it could be they were training, and you could just even if they weren't, just say, oh, we got a trainee driver. Like, even if they're an experienced driver, at least you've made a little white lie and say, oh, it's a trainee driver. They went past. We're really sorry. I think a lot of people, at least that's giving a satisfying answer. Saying health reasons, it's like,
Yeah. It makes no sense.
Are you riding Thomas the Tank? Is it sentient?
Right.
Does it have emotions? Like, what is this train? I need to find this train and go on it.
Brilliant. But yeah, so I mean, you know, it's really funny actually, because I was texting Ian Dale and his lovely producer Corey and saying, you know, I had a great time on the show, but just to let you know, I've still not got home. So bless him. Corey was saying, oh, Mathew, thanks so much for coming and all of this. But yeah, no, so it was really fun. I always love my trips down to London. Global's new studios are really swish, really swish and fancy.
Oh, okay. They moved.
Well,
have they moved?
They're still at 4 Millbank, but they've moved from a small set of rooms upstairs to a much bigger set of rooms downstairs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Spooky.
So it was really nice. And it was a really interesting panel. I was on with the Labour MP, Alex Sobel.
AM, someone who edits AM. City AM.
City AM, Alice Denby from City AM, and then the Tory MP, Sir John Hayes. And I have to say, he was, you know, I disagree with him, obviously, on some of what he said in terms of the actual debate, but he was really not, all three of them were lovely. And we had a photo after, and it was great. So, yeah, so, you know, such an honour to do that. I think in many respects, and this isn't having a go at any of the other media that I do at all, it's really not, but I think LBC is probably the most mainstream thing that I go on, you know. So yeah, it was just a joy to do.
And how was it? And how was Ian? Was he was he in?
Ian seemed in really good form. He seemed in really good form, bless him.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, sounds like you've had a packed week.
I had a really packed week, but just to finish off on cross question, as I'm recording this on the Friday, I've just recorded the latest episode of my other podcast, Political Frenemies, and we had the always box office Matthew Goodwin Freeman back on with us. And considering
fourth time now, where's my second one?
You're coming back next month, Andy. Next month. But Matthew was very. Matthew was very kind.
He is box office. He is box office, though.
He is box office. But he was very kind, actually. I mean, as you know, his politics are very, very different to mine. But he said that, you know, he watched my episode of Cross Question and it was very, very complimentary about, you know, my bit on it. And he said that, you know, considering I was the least well known of everyone on the panel, Ian gave me certainly less well known than the two MPs. I'm debatable in terms of the City AM lady, but
yeah,
Ian gave me a lot of time to give my points of view. It wasn't like I was an afterthought at the end, you know. So I'm really grateful for Ian in the way that he chairs that.
Yeah, that's the impression I got as well from the debate, and I think Ian must really show your own box office potential, because he invites you on and feels like this is a guy who can hold his own, make his points across, and I can sort of challenge him a little bit and give him a bit more airtime and sort of scrutiny. So yeah, I think that's why I like Ian Dale, because I know he's on like it's that time where it's like, it's a good time because it's just after 7 o'clock. So when people have had like their dinners or whatever, but I feel like I just enjoy Ian's segments. I think he's a really good chair. He really is good at moderating the debates, and when he does those radio call-ins as well. Obviously, there's going to be stuff I disagree with Ian, but where I agree with Ian, I really do. I love the passion of the guy. I love when he gets really passionate, and even when I'm not agreeing with his politics, I still admire his passion.
I tell you what, though, so it's really funny. I messaged Ian the next day, bless him, and I said, thanks for having me on. People have been very kind about my, performance and everything. And he said, and he was like, yeah, thanks, thanks, Mathew. And he said, but just one thing. And he said, now don't get mad. He said, but just one thing. He said, you do say, a lot. So, He said in one answer. He said in one answer. I think he said you know him 5 times in about 20 seconds. So I've got to watch that.
Yeah, it's quite addictive, actually.
You know.
Like, I'm trying to avoid saying it, but I think I have to kind of say it's weird that because for people that don't know me, I do my own YouTube channel, and when I do editing, I do notice that the popular reply seems to be, I think people do it because it's just a shorthand of when your brain is trying to make mental gaps, because I think it's difficult when you're doing a topical debate channel and you don't particularly cross questions because you don't actually know you don't know what the questions will be sometimes. I kind of forgot the format. I tried to put some questions while watching you, but I kind of forgot the format. I was playing in questions while you were having a conversation on a topic. Well, then I remembered, actually, they'll just have any questions. Hey, it doesn't have to relate to the piece that they're talking about. I forgot about that. That's my own fault. So I think mine got ignored because it was like, we've moved on now. But when I do my editing, it is one that often, and there's some really experienced people. I've seen it from councillors, I've seen it from parliamentarians, from my own editing, and I've had guests like you've been a former councillor, Mathew. I've had Michael Mullaney on many times. And obviously, I mean, I'm probably the most guilty of it. I do say, a lot because I think a lot of the time it's kind of pressure because it's like I'm both trying to be a chair and a host, but I'm also trying to open conversations up a bit more. And also I tend to have my own agenda in my head. I think this is what I want the conversation to be about. And you sometimes get panelists where they'll lead on to something else, and I'm like, wasn't prepared for this, but I don't want to seem like I'm not going to reply to their response. They've made an effort, so I think, I'm going to try and, in my head, think of an answer. And I do say, a lot, but I think everyone does it. I think it's a very shorthand thing. I think it's when your brain's trying to make those mental gaps. Yeah,
absolutely. And also, I think it was famously a Tony Blair thing, wasn't it? To make him sound more like down with the people, he used to say, like kind of. But
Tony Blair.
That's a scarily good impression. Although I prefer that impression to your Margaret Thatcher impression. So,
for people that don't know, I've done impressions with Mathew. So I do a Margaret Thatcher one pretty good, but he finds that a little bit scary. Don't you, Mathew? You find my Margaret Thatcher very intimidating. Very intimidating. Light it up, mate. Light it up.
It's like she's in the room.
It's too good. I think that's what scares you, Mathew. It's too good. Although that was a little bit rusty from what I'm normally used to.
It is too good.
But I think if I was to. So this might surprise you, Mathew, because I used to be quite good at drama. I don't know if that surprises you or not, but I used to be quite good at drama. Does it surprise you?
No.
Did you say? Doesn't surprise you, right? Okay. I think it surprises me because I don't like my voice. I don't think I've got a very good radio voice. And I think for acting, you do have to have a.
I don't know why you don't like your voice. I love your voice.
Oh, I hate my voice. It's so kind of northern, and I'm not even from the north. By the way, I'm not rubbishing the north.
Fuck this, I'm out of here. Get that fire exit door, I'm off.
The way I describe it, I sound like Ed Miliband stuck in a drain pipe. I have a very nasally voice, and he's not from the north, so that's a bit more accurate. I just find my voice very nasally, kind of like I've got a permanent cold all the time. And I do think with acting, you've got to have a very good. Well, it depends what kind of acting you're going to do. If you're going to be character acting, I could play Ed Miliband drama. Who knows? Sign me up, ITV. If you want to do one about the Miliband brothers, I'm happy to play Ed Miliband.
That'd be good.
But back on topic, so I used to be quite good at drama, but I used to like doing impressions, and I actually got quite good at it. So I used to watch a show called, I don't know if people can remember it, Dead Ringers.
Absolutely, love that.
Queen now enters the Big Brother house. And in the time-honoured tradition, she is flanked by a mouthy lesbian and the bodybuilder with weird hair.
In this, the current series of Big Brother, my Channel 4 will present a new batch.
So Dead Ringers, it started off as a radio show, then it became television, and I think it's now back on radio again. But I absolutely adored Dead Ringers. I fell in love with John Coleshaw.
And now a speech by the British Prime Minister, Tony Blair. American viewers will also have the benefit of a translation for the heart of understanding.
We are bound together as never before.
America good.
In the end,
I loved how he did George Bush, and I started to learn how to do impressions through his impressions of Tony Blair and George Bush. So I got Tony Blair pretty, like you've just heard my Tony Blair, sort of a chacho Tony Blair, so haha. There's public school boy. So I learned from that, and then obviously I heard about Spitting Image because I think I saw this ITV like documentary about it, and I was like, so I was too young to have seen Spitting Image.
And who is the other guy who does Tony Blair as well? Matt. Oh, what's his name?
Oh, from what, Dead Ringers?
The comedian. I don't know if he's from Dead Ringers. I think he did Spitting Image, but it's Matt someone. He did the podcast.
What, Matt Goodwin?
No, not Matt Goodwin. No. It'll come to me.
Okay. I'll whilst I'm explaining, maybe you can have a think on that. I can only think of the guy, Rory. Is it Rory Bremner? I can only think of him. I know he did a really good one of Tony Blair, and he did a very good one, George Bush as well, actually. So obviously I then learned about Spitting Image, and I learned that a guy did the voice for Margaret Thatcher. And then I don't know how I did it. I think over time I just started, like, I was just impressed. Like, I find voices interesting. I think, and also just learning about how she perfected her voice. She actually got vocal training. So it kind of connects, really. So I then decided I want to, and to be honest, I used to be a bit of a Tory lover. I used to be called Tory boy by my parents because I thought I was a Conservative. And I did follow the Conservatives very briefly. Obviously, we idolised for Margaret Thatcher. You know, that's their kind of their version of Gladstone for us. You know, well, classical liberals, I should say, more like Luke's kind of liberalism. But anyway, so I then started to do her impressions, and then over time, I just got better at it. And yeah, and I just love doing impressions. I don't know why. I don't do drag. I don't do comedy. I have thought about doing comedy. I did think about doing, like, I even had it in my head, like, oh, how could I open up a stage? I could make some jokes and then just do different impressions as like a one stage act and then just fit a narrative. But over time, I don't know where my notes are. I probably binned them now, but I don't know why I like doing impressions. I think they're just fun. They're just fun to do. And yeah.
And there was also a guy called, I don't know if you're aware of him, because this is going back, into my youth now, but there was a guy called Steve Nallen, and he used to do a take on Margaret Thatcher.
Is that the Spitting Image guy?
That might have been the Spitting Image guy, but he was often on TV doing Margaret Thatcher.
I think it is him, because I feel like his first name was Steve, but I think he was doing a tour where he just dressed in drag, and he's gay as well, so I think he dressed as Margaret Thatcher, dressed in drag, and just did an impression of her. And I like what he said about her voice. She had very different styles of voice. So she had her conference voice, very sort of stoic. We will not be deterred. Lots of pauses and waiting, but never again. That kind of, Then she had the Parliament voice where, because it's rowdy and you got everyone kind of heckling her, she'd be louder. And then you had this kind of the election voice she'd do, where it was almost like patronising the voter voice, very condescending, that kind of voice.
What am I doing here?
And it's interesting. I don't know if a lot of these actors ever learned linguistics or anything, but I just found him noticing, having that kind of forensic analysis and detail of the different voices she had. I can understand why he was the perfect Margaret Thatcher, because it wasn't just about one tone and one note. It wasn't just a one note thing. He gave it a lot more colour and emotions. So yeah, this has gone really into rabbit hole territory.
Can you do Kier Starmer?
Oh, for Kier Starmer. That's more like John Major. Yeah, I could do John Major. Yeah, John Major. Any more, please? No, I think it was Rory Bremner actually. So Rory Bremner, he said he struggled to do David Cameron's voice because he said David Cameron's was just basically very like
It was just very posh, wasn't it?
well, and not even posh. It was like a posh man. I think he said it was a posh man trying to sound a bit more middle class or normal. Yeah. So it was very generic and sort of forced and false. So I think people like Kier Starmer and Cameron kind of says a lot about their politics as well, kind of bland and boring in a lot of ways. But their voice as well, it's just like, yeah.
I think I've probably got this wrong now, and I can't check because I'm recording this on my phone, so I can't obviously use it to Google. But I think it's like Matt Ford or something like that, isn't it? And he does an impression. He does a really good impression of Kier Starmer, and he always has this one phrase that really, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but he always has this one phrase that really sounds like Starmer when he goes, "The Metropolitan Police."
That was good. That was all right. Never mind. Mine's just John Major all the time. Metropolitan Police.
Really?
It's very stuffy. It's like,
do you know that I'm going to be treading the boards?
Beg your pardon?
I'm going to be treading the boards.
Oh, boards. Explain.
Yes, I mean theatrically, because I'm going to be in the chorus of my local panto.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because that was one where you can record, can't you?
I can learn it without having to go to the because due to my work, I'm not able to go to the actual rehearsals. But I can be in the chorus and learn it away from the rehearsals. Yeah, so the panto is in February. Don't ask me any more about it because I don't yet know. But my lovely friend Jenny, who produces it, basically it's a lovely community theatre that my lovely friend Jenny, you've got to meet Jenny, Andy. You'd absolutely love her. She's fantastic.
Oh, okay, deal.
Yeah, it'd be so good.
And you've got to meet my bestie Emma. You've got to meet my bestie Emma.
Absolutely,
and my dad. And my dad.
And your dad. And your dad. And your dad.
He's a character. Brace yourself for him.
Oh, I can't wait though. I literally can't wait.
But seriously, brace yourself.
I will. No, it'd be fabulous. So she runs this lovely community theatre, and I used to be regularly in the performances. I'll give it a name plug. It's Stageworks performance in Pinkley and Bosworth in Leicestershire.
Get a link in the description. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And then because of work and life and mum's death and ill health and all of that, I stopped being involved. But then Jenny, bless her, noticed me post a couple of videos. I haven't done it for a while actually, but noticed me posting a video of my singing just a little bit occasionally on socials. And she said, "Oh, Mathew, I see you're back singing again. Would you like to be involved in the panto?" And I said to her, "Well, I'd love to be, but I don't think I can make your rehearsal." She said, "Well, it's all right. We'll have you as part of the chorus." So I'm so excited for that next year.
I'm just jealous because, like, honestly, I would love to own a stage.
You're jealous.
But yeah, that would be so great. That would be. And remind us the production of?
So the group is called Stageworks, and actually many plaudits to Jenny and to Stageworks because they've just won a Making a Difference award here in Hinkley and Bosworth. And who was the MC for that event but our mutual friend, Councillor Michael Mullaney.
Yeah, we love him.
So you see, it all fits together. And talking of Michael, why don't you give us a plug about your latest Liberal leader video?
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting this. I was going to try and be humble and modest for this pod. But yes, I've actually. So I'm doing a series called Liberal Lens, Leadership and Legacy, and it's a look back and retrospective of post-war Liberal Alliance and LibDem leaders. So from 1945 to not until Ed. I know Ed Davies the current leader, but I don't think it's fair to be doing a retrospective since he's still leader, so he would not be included, guys. So sorry, I am not going to cause any drama on that. And this is my episode 2, where I did a recording with our good friend Councillor Michael Mullaney on Clement Davis, who is the title's called the Forgotten Leader, but like I said in the video, I like to call him the reluctant leader, because he took over the party at a time where it was at its nadir, and there was a lot of infighting within the party. There was quite a few big names that left the party, like one of the Lloyd George's children. She ended up joining the Labour Party because she was like, and this was like when Labour was pretty left in the 1950s. She was like, "Oh, we're not radical enough, we're not socialist enough, I'm leaving." So that was quite a big deal. Well, I should say she resigned her seat as a Liberal MP. She then won it back in the 1950s or 60s, I want to say. But then she did lose it to Plaid Cymru eventually. I think it was their first gain. I think Plaid Cymru ended up gaining that seat. I think that was their first ever gain in a general election. I think they did win in by-elections beforehand. But yeah, it's just a retrospective and look back of Clement Davis, who I think is a very understated leader. I think he had a lot of contradictions and a lot of complexities and a lot of conflicts, but I appreciate him, having done research on him, that he, when asked by Churchill, you can join our... Churchill had a small majority, so he could have governed alone outright, but he invited the Liberal Party under Clement Davis to join his cabinet as like a kind of... Basically, it would have absorbed the Liberals into the Conservatives in all but name, if not a complete merger. And he said no. And I think...
Quite right too.
I get a lot of respect for him because he kept that political autonomy and independence of the Liberal Party. So I think that's what I hope I achieved with my video, which has been released today on the Yellow Rebel.
Yeah, go and look at it, folks. Go and find it out on the Yellow Rebel YouTube channel. And Michael is such a fountain of information, right? He's a great historian.
He really is. He really is. And like, this is the part of the conversation where I'm like, really, when we was on about people saying a lot, like, he'd have so much wealth of knowledge. I was like, I did not know that. It's brought that curiosity and that kind of inviting more questions about it. And it was one of those, I'm like, I didn't think we'd be going there, but this is so interesting. He is such a wealth. He's just such a machine when it comes to political facts and minute details and election history. Yeah.
It's like I always say, and this is actually the truth. You can ask Michael about it. It's the truth. Michael won the Liberal History Group annual quiz so often that they had to change the rules of the quiz so he didn't win.
I thought you were going to say they had to ban him. I thought it was going to be that.
Yeah. He won it so often.
Stop winning. We're going to ban you now. Okay. How did they change the rules? Did they have some kind of Labour leadership, like electoral college?
You'd have to ask Michael for the details, but honestly, yeah, he's just an absolute fount of information. So Andy, let's turn now to I know you won't mind just saying a little bit about this, even if not going into specifics, but you've had a bit of a week this week with Twitter trolls, right?
Yeah, I had quite a rough day yesterday where I think it's sort of like you've been on you've done quite a few podcasts. So you've been on a podcast with our mutual friend Paddy about mental health, and you actually mentioned about your own experiences on social media, and I should have took your advice, just like I should just block people. Like, they're just not worth like having the confrontation, having making you feeling so rubbish about yourself. And yeah, I just had some really quite personal things said at me. And I know on social media we do create kind of a persona on social media, so I'm a little bit more, I suppose it can come across as a bit obnoxious, but I don't try and be rude. I might be a bit more obnoxious, a bit more opinionated, and a bit more forceful on my views. But, it's when people get really personal, and I've had quite a few personal insults thrown at me from, like, I don't want to, again, it upsets me because I actually get on with quite a few lefty friends and socialists, but they mostly be like, having experienced the right wing, when Elon Musk, when it was the election of the US presidential election, the amount of mudslinging and attacks I got from the right, that beat me down. But now it seems it's coming from the left now, and it's just like, I just can't find a moment on X where I can't just like, people can't just like disagree agreeably. I have to be very personal. So yeah, I've had kind of a rough time on X from people on the left, and it's ironic really because they kind of they try and make me the enemy, and I'm quite a lefty, and I'm like, I'm not your
Right.
enemy. But you can certainly make an enemy. And I can sort of half understand why some people do turn to the right sometimes. I think when you have those experiences, it can come across as like you're being so obnoxious and you're being, So I've had quite a bit of a rough time.
And also, don't you think, Andy, that with some on the left, and not all by any means, but with a significant proportion of the left, they judge you, and if you're not totally pure in terms of if you don't agree with them on every single thing, and oh, you're not left wing enough, and oh, if you're a LibDem, you can't possibly be LibDem because the coalition.
Uni party.
And then I've even seen people this week saying Zach Polanski is far too moderate. I mean, it's like I mean, like, get a life, folks. I mean, just ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. But, it's... Well, there we go. We said the favourite 2 words. But the Green, I do have a lot of Green friends who, they're basically socialists. They're not a friend, but they're never personal to me. Where we agree on things, like they agree with proportional representation, which I'm very passionate about. And I've befriended a Green person quite recently on the internet who really for PR, they think we need, they see the danger of reforms. They're not hostile towards us. They're not politically aligned with us, but they want as much as us progressives to lock out with, what we see is like our more, our kind of political opponent, more of our political opponents, really, because obviously the Greens are political challengers as well and our opponents. But, but yeah, and I think for me, it was like that one that happened for me this week. It was all because they assumed I didn't understand it was a joke. I think it was a tweet saying we need to ban old. Again, it was the rhetoric that I didn't like. So some Green put ban old people from voting because there was a poll that showed that most old people voted Reform or Tory. And that was the poll. So over 50s voted overwhelmingly either Reform or Tory. And they just did a post putting ban old people from voting. And then had people say, oh, you not get it's a joke. Do you not get it's a joke? I'm like, I'm not that dense. I know it was a joke. It's just the rhetoric. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. Right. You're literally trying to cause rhetoric and division. And this is why I haven't got... And again, it's not... I don't want to paint all Greens because I get on with many Greens wonderfully. But it's recently, I'm just finding they're basically populists on the left. Let's make enemies of people. And I had people, and that's where all the conversations came in. People attacking me. Oh, you don't get it, it's a joke. I'm like, I get it. I felt like I had to explain myself over and over again, saying, I get it's a joke. I know they don't want to ban people. I'm not that dense, guys. But they knew what they were doing. And then it just got really nasty. And they were telling me I was dumb and then effing dumb. And then I was called passive aggressive. And I'm like, okay, I've never, of all people that know me personally, I've never been called that. I could be obnoxious and opinionated, but I've never been called passive aggressive. I usually find people that say that tend to be those people. But anyway, so yeah, I've just had a bit of a rough time. I'm just finding, and I just had to go offline a little bit. And I think it is good to have that break, have that moment, just go offline, which I did. And yeah, but I agree with what you've said earlier, Matthew. Well,
I'm just glad you're okay because you messaged me to say that you just needed some time away. So I'm just really good to see you in fighting form today because you're right, it's never nice. And whenever I do the media appearances and stuff, there's always, and of course it's a minority, of course it is, but there's always people who post, who don't know me from Adam, right? They don't know me personally, but who post the most vile things about me. They post vile things about my weight, just vile. And it used to really affect me, but now I just enjoy blocking them. I actually really enjoy blocking them. Now, the trouble is now on Twitter is that they can still see your tweets, but at least you don't have to hear from them again,
Yeah. And there is the mute option as well. You can just mute people, which, ironically, their partner got pulled in because I thought this person who was having the real most problems, I thought they were liking their own comments because it was instantly, they'd send a comment, then they like it. So obviously, I'm going to go...
Liking their own comment.
I was still unwise to say it, but I said, well, why are you liking your own comments? And then the screenshot, and then the partner came in. He was a bloody LibDem. And I was like, can you control your partner, please? And it was like, no, they're entitled to their opinion, and I'm not as diplomatic as them. I just called them weak. I say, oh, that's just such a weak argument. And then that escalated. They're like, no, you're not weak. You're the weak one, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, again, you're kind of reaching here. I'm saying his argument was weak. I'm not saying they are actually weak. Although, based on that relationship, my guess is he probably is quite weak if he's allowing the partner to say that.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Let's move on to much happier things now. Tell us a little bit about the LGBT plus affirming church that we both occasionally go to, Queer Church Birmingham, QCB, has moved venues, right?
Well, we really like to plug QBC, don't we? I think we're going to have a dedicated podcast segment for him. Yeah, we've moved venues. So we were with Friends of the Earth Birmingham, but now we've moved to the Birmingham Girl Guides, and I can't remember the address, but I will do a cute little visual, so it'll display on the screen. So don't worry, guys, I will do a visual for that. But yeah, we've moved, and it's a much spacious, more cozier, more modern venue. Has a projector, so we can do a lot more things with in terms of slides for our services, or if we wanted to do anything interactive like showing a video, whatever. And yeah, it's a new space. It's very it's a very spacious room, very airy, comfortable. The kitchens and the bathrooms are just lovely. Like, not knocking Friends of the Earth, but it was such an upgrade to look at their kitchen areas and their bathroom areas. So yeah, it's been great. And we had, I think, on our first day, we had 24 people attend. So people were getting really excited about the new space. And then when I went last week, I think we had about 14, which for our standards is pretty good. It's pretty good because we often have very fluctuating numbers. So I think it's paid, Matthew. I think the new room's I think we've sold it. I think people quite like the new space. Yeah.
Well, a credit to all the team, because it is fantastic to hear, and I'm really excited very soon to visit the new space myself. So really excited about that. Also, I wanted to ask you about whether you'd seen, and this is something that to me today, I just thought, have we really got to this level of political debate, right, where Kier Starmer trips up, right, and this becomes a huge thing. This symbolises, the failure of his government. Now, we can talk about his policies and all of that. We can talk about his politics. I've no problem with that. That's quite right. But we've all tripped up. I've tripped up numerous times in my life, but thankfully we tend to not be being filmed, TV cameras, when we do it. But give the guy a break. He just tripped up.
But is that really new? Because I remember Gerald Ford. Didn't he trip up while trying to get into the Air Force One plane? Is it new? Is it really that new in politics?
Well, it's not. It totally isn't. I mean, I can remember, that I love Australian politics, and famously Julia Gillard, bless her, basically face planted one day.
Julia Gillard, love her.
I love Julia. In fact, my friend Daniel.
I thought you were going to say I met Julia Gillard when she came to Hinkley.
No, my friend Daniel met her in the Good Morning Britain green room. Yes.
So you got a bit of a 6 degree to Kevin Bacon going on there.
Yeah, vicarious. So, in fact, I know people who, sadly, I've not met any of them, but I know people who've met Julia Gillard, Jacinda Ardern, and Justin Trudeau. So there you are.
That is not fair.
But sadly, I've not met any of them.
But yeah.
But yeah, so Julia Gillard, had this face plant, and again, it was this huge thing. This represents the decline of her government. I'm like, no, she just tripped up. Like, get over it.
Why do you think it's of interest? Well,
it shouldn't be. I mean, yeah, it looks a bit funny. Okay, fine, but
is it a case for if they are perceived to be a weak leader, the media do magnify these cases of where people fall and tripped up? So is there some kind of I don't want to say truth, but we think of examples like Gillard, Gerald Ford, obviously Starmer now. What is it? What is that really attracts that sort of attention? This is news to me, by the way, so I'm only just learning about Keir Starmer's trip. I mean, I hope he was okay. I mean,
Yeah.
not a fan of him, but I hope he was okay. Like,
it was fine, but all of the right wing outlets were saying, oh, "What an embarrassment to our country!" Like what?
But they're never happy though. Like they increased defense spending, they helped Ukraine, and I think Keir Starmer has been very important in getting Europe to see the threat of Russia and that solidarity in Europe. And obviously, I think the deal of Trump, and yet they're never happy. I mean, if Chris was here, your podcast host, he'd be saying, "Oh, he's been rubbish, Keir Starmer, on the international affairs." He hasn't. I think he's been crap on domestic affairs, but I will give him credence when needs be. He's been pretty good on. He's suited to do international affairs. Unfortunately, that's not how UK politics work.
Well, I think that's so astute, Andy, and I think you're absolutely right. I think he's much more effective as kind of in his world leader role than he is as a domestic politician. I think he pretty much loathes domestic politics, and of course the trouble is that you don't get elected to do the world leader bit; you get elected to do the domestic bit. That's what counts in terms of winning elections. But no, I think you're absolutely right about that. It's funny that you should mention Dr. Chris, because as we're recording this on Friday evening, I've literally just recorded our latest episode of that, and it was Chris and, as I say, Mathew Goodwin Freeman. So as ever, I was in a minority, but I held my own. It's fair to say. So that was really good. But yeah, I just think, to be fair to world leaders, they're being filmed the whole time, right? So at some point they will do something like trip up. They just will. Get over it.
It's not only isolated in politics. It's like celebrities as well. Like,
absolutely.
Like I really don't like. God, sorry, I hate to bring Madonna again, but I'm going to use an example. But
Queen Madge.
There's always this, like, the obsessed with her hands. Like, she's in her 60s now. She's got old hands. She's got the veiny hands, and it's like, and she does do yoga and exercise, and that probably does put a bit of more strain on your body. So it probably doesn't look particularly appealing if you're in your 60s. And I saw on Instagram where she was on her head and literally putting her whole legs up in the air. I'm like, God, like, they don't like to throw that on the media, like, oh, look at this 60-year-old doing intense, like, sort of gymnastics or whatever. But there you go. But it's not just isolated in politics. Like, celebrities have to kind of, and I think that's why there's so much self-conscious about what they. I think that's why they often do use filters, because they're often, everything's magnified by the media. They're under constant scrutiny about their looks and appearance. So I think when they use Instagram and people ridicule and say, oh, well, they're using filters, they're blah, blah, blah. They're using filters, they're using photo doctrines and all that stuff. It's like, well, you don't help them. You really don't help them when you're constantly being ridiculed and barraged by the media over your appearance. No wonder they're going to be using filters. I don't blame Madge for using filters all the time. If they look zooming in on her hands and saying, oh, God, look how gross she looks. But no wonder that's going to leave any normal person, let alone a celebrity, feel really kind of, lack of confidence in themselves on their appearance, I guess. Yeah, so, yeah.
I agree. I just wanted to bring up one more thing before we then go on to do our little bit about what we've been watching, reading, and listening to. And again, I don't want this to become like we're attacking the Greens, because we're really not. But there was something today where, and we won't mention the individual because it's not about the individual. He's not the only person to do this, but someone that basically I've never heard of, to my knowledge, is not elected to any office, putting out a statement to saying that he was leaving the Labour Party and joining the Greens. But it was like my statement, and then it was done as if he was a member of Parliament with a graphic of his note. And I'm like, well, who are you? Why should we care?
Well, if the Daily Mail have a slow news day, they can put on their headline, random guy joins the Green. Now, I commented on that, Mathew, so I think it shows a lot of, like, it's not isolated to people in political parties. I think there are always going to be narcissists and people with They're very inflated egos. I don't think it probably doesn't help because they are sucking up a lot of the kind of social media space at the moment. So I think that magnifies things. If you're going to get more people speaking about the Greens and that you're getting that traction about, green politics, and that's what's trending in the social media space, I think it'll magnify those kind of individuals. It does, it did that post. It did come across as very kind of narcissistic. I'm not gonna lie. It's
absolutely.
like, who are you? A simple tweet would have been fine. Or if you was a member of a political party, write a letter to your party, then put it on a post and say, I've resigned. The reason I've resigned, I've joined the Green Party. I don't know if he's ever been a councillor before. I did have a quick look at his bio. I thought usually people like to put down former councillor or something. I went and had a quick look on his post thinking, oh, it must be something. Nothing. I'm like, who cares? It's like you said, who cares?
It's just a very grandiose statement thing, isn't it? Here's my statement. And you kind of expect that like from an MP or something. You think, well, okay, they're an MP, here's my statement. But it's something random.
Yeah.
And again, that's not as being mean. Might be a very not commenting on this person as a person. We don't know them, but that's the point. Is that they're just some random person, and yet they're announcing it as if it's some great earth-shattering, announcement. And I think you could have just written a tweet saying, "I've left this party and I've joined this party."
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't need to be that complicated. It could have been simple as that. I think you were a bit too generous about the person, about not knowing that. I think it just shows a little bit of narcissism. But again, I don't know him completely. Maybe they thought it was a good idea, but my immediate instinct was you just come across as a bit of a narcissist, mate.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
just a simple tweet would have done. Yeah.
Just win. And actually, I did have one more. I've got my little list here, and I did have one more thing for us to talk about, and that is just to say congratulations to Josh Babarinde on his proposal this week to his partner Connor in the Houses of Parliament. And I just thought this was lovely for so many reasons. First of all, it's so good for Josh, and I'm really pleased that he's happy in his private life, because that's important. I obviously, we're both gay men, and so it's nice to see that, our president-elect is an out and proud gay man who's about to become a husband. I thought it was great that, the House of Commons Speaker allowed that to take place, because for people who know Parliament, and I've been there many times, it took place in central lobby of Parliament, and actually, he had to get permission for that, because you're not allowed to take photos in that lobby. So obviously, he had to get permission to do so.
Oh wow! Okay.
I just thought it was a beautiful thing, and to be fair to Keir Starmer, and I'll knock him when it's appropriate, but I thought he was very nice in what he said at Prime Minister's Questions about Josh, and I thought it was really lovely.
Yeah, I saw that as well, and it just shows that kind of humility in politics, and I think that was really honourable for Keir Starmer to do, and what a way to propose, how is any of us two gonna one up that? That's just absolutely crazy. I absolutely loved it. It was just adorable. And I hope a very strong, healthy, and happy marriage for them both. I think it's so well deserved for Josh. He just seems like a sound guy for what I've seen. I don't know him personally, but I just hope for the best, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, absolutely, just so sweet. Okay, let's move on then to what we're watching, listening to, and reading. So let's start off with what we're watching then, shall we? So I'll just go first. So I've been watching a number of politics adjacent dramas on Netflix. So what I mean by that is that politics doesn't have to be, the front and center storyline, but there's always some kind of politics related theme somewhere in the story. So I've been watching, I don't know if you've ever seen any of this, Andy, but I've been watching the latest series of The Diplomats. Have you seen any of that? It's really good.
No, but I need to. It's on my list. I think is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix. You definitely need to watch it. I think think they've just done season three, and it's really, really good. So when I finished watching that, I was really sad that it had finished. So I then watched Hostage, starring Saran Jones.
Yeah, I've been watching that. What do you make of it? What do you think?
Love that. Love the whole premise of that. So without giving too many spoilers away for those that might not have seen it, it's the British Prime Minister and the French President, and someone ends up being taken hostage, and it's all about what happens with that, both personally and politically. And I really hope they're going to make another series, because I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I'll be honest, the first episode, I watched it with my dad, and it was a bit like, my dad's I've got a lot more patience when it comes to drama and stuff like that. He likes action, he needs to have something happen, and he thought it was too talky at times and all that. But then at the end, and even I admitted, I thought, oh, this is a bit long, everyone's been raving about this. I was thinking, I think I'll carry on watching it, because I'm a bit more committed, unlike my dad. But anyway, so my dad's like, he's about to tune off, and then the end bit of episode 1, the twist, which I won't spoil, folks, but it was like, this is it. My dad's like, there it is. That's what I've come for. That's what I've come for. It was so good. It was so good. And I had 2 female leads as well, which is fantastic, and I like to see.
And then, so then I was really sad when that finished. Excuse me. And so I started watching North Shore, also on Netflix, which again is about, without giving too much away, it's a British cabinet minister who has a family member that dies whilst the family member is visiting Australia, and again, it's about the personal life and the politics of that situation. And I'm just on episode 3 of that, but yeah, at the moment, I'm just lapping up these dramas, loving it.
Well, because you've enjoyed Hostage so much, I will definitely recommend those 2 for me. And anything that's got politics and personal, I really enjoy, because I tend to like a lot of like political film. Like, for example, I enjoyed The Iron Lady. I know a lot of people were there wasn't much on the politics of The Iron Lady, but I still enjoyed it, because it was like there was just enough about the politics, just enough, but then it was more personal, and I quite enjoyed that. And whether it was all true or creative license, I don't know. So I think I will enjoy watching those 2 recommendations. Then right for me, so I want to say I've been watching my own content, because I've just been basically editing for the last week and a bit now. So I've just been watching myself over and over and over again. But on my offline days, when I decide, right, I've done enough editing now, I thought, rather than try and commit myself to a drama, I've just been dipping in and out of podcasts. So the one that I've mostly been so I've watched these guys before. It's The Rest Is History. I don't think they need a plug. They've been around for quite a bit now. But they had one on Elizabeth I, who I always find the Tudor period. I mean, I'm not even a monarchist, I'm a Republican, but I still find the history of these dynasties and monarchies, because it was political back then. They held real power. And Elizabeth I, I find so fascinating. She was a survivor. She survived her father. She survived her sister, Bloody Mary. And she escaped from Catherine Parr's, their new husband, who was the second wife of Henry VIII. And it gets a bit creepy. She basically took Elizabeth in her own home, and she married a new husband. And the husband might have done things that today would be considered really creepy and would not be PC these days. So I always find Elizabeth such a fascinating character, and the way she navigated the religious politics at the time between evangelical Protestants and Catholicism, basically finding this middle way. So she might have been a LibDem if she was a voter today. And so I've been watching The Rest Is History, but mostly been watching the Elizabeth I series, which was fantastic. And I just love their chemistry. They can make history seem so, they're like a bunch of lads, really. It's a bit of banter, it's a bit of fun. Dominic Sandbrook and Tom Holland, but I adore Dominic Sandbrook. I think he'd be fun to go out on a night out. He'd be fun to go on a pub, I think, on with Dominic Sandbrook. Sounds like a
Absolutely.
right laugh.
So good. So yeah, I can't wait to check that out. So in terms of what I've been listening to, and I am very aware, I was thinking this earlier today that, you know, very rarely with me is it going to be new music, because I don't pretend to keep up with it. I just don't. But you know that obviously
Neither do I.
No, I just don't. You know the latest Wicked film is out, right? I'm yet to see it.
Yeah.
I've got to go and see it. But I love the
You should
song
go watch
For
it.
Good.
Us too. Go watch it. The
We'll
cinemas.
go watch it.
That could be our thing.
Go watch it. That's a day.
Yeah.
I love For Good by Christian Chenoweth.
Oh yeah, that's
Love
a good
that.
one.
Love it.
That's a good one.
Love that. And I was just rewatching it because, I mean, obviously the song's been around for, you know, a very long time. But I've just been watching it because, you know that I love Queen Oprah Winfrey, right? You know that I love Oprah.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
And Andy knows this, that in my little collection of DVDs over the way here in my flat, I've got the 25-year celebration of Oprah. I just think she's great. When she decided, and gosh, it's about 10 years or so ago now, isn't it? But when she decided to end her daily show, which was a massive thing, right? She did a couple of episodes where, you know, they did this massive celebration in this huge arena.
Yeah.
And she had loads of celebrities there, and it was all about her life and the show and everything. And Christine Chenoweth was there and sang For Good, like, to Oprah. And Oprah was in tears, and yeah, just so emotional.
Love that.
Love
Love that. Oprah, if you're watching, give Mathew a free car, because I think he's probably your biggest British fan here.
You've won a
If
car.
you know
You've
the
won a
meme,
car.
you
You've
know
won
the
a car.
meme.
You want to go? Brilliant. But do you know what's really interesting? I once watched a behind the scenes with Oprah, where she talked about, you know, those episodes where she did her favourite things, and she said that the audience had never known that it was going to be that episode. So it wasn't like, you know, they were going to watch it knowing that they were going to go home with loads of free stuff.
Okay.
They just booked to go and see an Oprah show. And she said that actually it wasn't even about the stuff that they got to take home, although they did. It was about that moment. It was about that moment of her unveiling that this was happening when they were in the audience. And it was about, like, the dopamine hit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Of them having this euphoric moment. And I thought there was something really quite telling about that in a good way, that, you know, it was actually, I know the audience were thinking, oh, I'll get to take home loads of stuff, but it wasn't even about that. It was just the moment of them being part of something like that. And I thought that was very wise of Oprah.
Yeah, she does seem like a very wise and gentle person. I think that really shows a lot about her, really. She'd make a great president, wouldn't she, really?
Don't worry.
Although I think she said it herself. I think she actually said, I don't want to be president because everyone likes me. Whereas
Well, right.
if I become
right.
president, half the country's not going to like me. But I think we know politics. I think we kind of know her politics, really. But she is
she's a very proud Democrat, you know, and she went out to bat for Barack Obama and everything, you know. But yeah, I mean, I just think she's so wise. And the truth is that, you know, she doesn't need to be president. She's got her own kind of immense power, you know. That goes beyond political office, you know.
The liberal establishment.
Yeah. So I love For Good by Christine Chenoweth. It's a wonderful, wonderful song.
Oh yeah, music. Yeah, I forgot we were on the music segment. So I've basically been listening to Christmas music. So now, is it allowed? Are we allowed to do Christmas music in November? I think so. I think so.
I think we are.
Yeah.
And just to say very quickly that, just to let our audience know that as we're recording, you're going to be visiting next weekend. And can I tell you that we're definitely going to be playing Christmas music? It's mandatory.
Yeah, because we're going to decorate your place, aren't we?
We are.
We're allowed to decorate in November as well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, November. It's the end of November. It's fine. Yeah, Christmas jingles. Oh, you know what? I'm going to get a playlist for us. I'm going to do up a playlist.
Oh, I love that. Oh, a Christmas playlist.
I'm going to borrow my dad's Bluetooth speaker. and then we can like, ooh,
Oh, I'm
that'd be
so
fun.
excited.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been
I'm so
Oh, go
excited,
on.
and I defo think, Andy, that I defo think we need to, when you visit next weekend, we defo need to record some content for the next pod.
Yeah, Christmas theme.
Defo.
We should do. We should do,
Defo.
like actually that'd be quite cute. Actually, I think we should do like just us decorating, like just videos, us decorating the tree.
That'd be great. Oh, but just on that, I have to let you in on, and I know I haven't got round to telling you this like offline, but I'm just going to share it with you now, along with everyone else, that sadly at the moment I am without tree. Oh, I did tell you.
You have told me, yeah. You
I have
said we
told
need
you.
to go. Like, because I said,
Yeah.
is it a real tree? Do you get a real tree? And
I don't. I must admit, I can't pretend to get a real tree, but I am without tree because my old one had to be put into the bin.
Yeah, and then I said to you, is you've made a tree homeless, and then we had this paradox of, is it actually a homeless tree? If you brought it into a home, does that make the tree homeless?
It's a homeless
But yeah,
tree.
we need to go. Yeah, we need to go tree shopping.
We need to go tree shopping, and then I have to say, since I moved into this flat 2 or 3 years ago now, and obviously without getting too serious, you know that obviously since I've moved in here, I've had lots of personal things kind of going on with the death of Mum and my illness and everything else. So I can't pretend that I've been able to collect a whole lot of decorations. So I've got some, but we definitely need to go Christmas decoration shopping, if that makes sense.
No worries, and I've got loads of decorations, so I can always donate some. I'll see how far I get with mine, but I'm happy to donate. But also, Mathew, I've got some news for you, and this isn't pre-scripted, guys. This is actually going to be news for Mathew. I said to you, Mathew, that I was going to go to my dad's for Christmas Day and all that, blah, blah, blah. And obviously I was going to try and come for Boxing Day to see you, but it was just basically a write-off. Basically, the one train, guys, it's pointless having a service if you just got one train. And it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was something ridiculous. But I said to my dad, because I was thinking about you saying, like, it was good that your sister said, because unfortunately you might have been on your own on Christmas Day, and you've been very positive and said, like your sister said, you can get through the day. It's just another day, blah, blah, blah. And I just it just sat with me, and I just thought to myself, well, my dad's going to be seeing my sister sometime in the afternoon, and then his girlfriend's going to be joining as well. I don't know. It just sat with me, and I just said to my dad, Dad, would you mind if I went to see a friend on Christmas Day? And he said, yeah, sure. Why not? So let's go do that. So there you go. I'm going to come round for Christmas Day with you, mate.
Okay.
No.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you.
Oh no, don't cry. That wasn't.
It's good tears.
Love you. Oh, I could see the happy tears.
Thank you. That really means a lot.
Well, also thank Dad as well, I guess. Although it was very unlikely my dad was going to turn around and say, no, you can't. I'm a grown adult, but yeah, it was my decision. I thought, why not? So
thank you.
So there we go. But now I've got a plan. I've got a plan to come see you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
that'll be so fun.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Real tears, guys. This is not
real
planned.
tears.
I completely surprised him.
And genuinely, and I know that people are cynical and think that everything is pre-planned and everything and blah blah blah. And you're always going to get the haters. And if you're a hater, go away because we don't want you. But honestly, I did not know about that.
I felt bad for making. At least they're happy tears, though. I was just I was getting a bit concerned. Then I was like, oh my god, I broke Mathew.
I'd reconcile to myself that okay, if I'm by myself Christmas Day, I'm by myself Christmas Day, But look, let's be honest. I would have been a bit sad, No.
And I think, that's why it sat on me. I just thought I'm gonna be really soppy now. I was just thinking, what would Mum do? Because this is where I'm like my mum, my compassion comes out. And I just thought, I know if Mum was here, she'd say, oh, go meet your friend. She's like, so that's why I thought I'd do it. Like, so I think if my mum lived on her own, she'd be like, go see Mathew, So that's why my compassion comes out sometimes. And I just thought,
so
And I would like to see you anyway. I'd like to spend Christmas Day with you.
This is going to be so special. Honestly, can't wait. So, yeah. So
And also, you're welcome. My dad also offered his place, so maybe the next year we can go to Dad's as well.
that would be so good. I can't wait to meet your dad, because he just sounds like such a character. He just really, really does.
The character's definitely one way of describing my dad. I did think it was nice of my dad to offer, but I thought I still want you to meet my dad in a more casual setting. But I think that was good on my dad. My dad was very like, yeah, come over. I don't mind. I don't care. So, but I just thought it might be better if you meet my dad in person, get to know him, and then it'll feel a bit more like, it'll just feel a bit more natural, a bit more like, not that he'd get on with you perfectly well. My dad will, as long as you're not well, let's not bring my dad's politics, but anyway, well, yeah, you would have been welcomed. Yeah. So yeah, so that was nice
and I really think that, you know, that our mums would have really got on. I really believe that.
Definitely. Yeah.
They really will.
I like to think they're preparing Christmas dinner in the skies. That's how I like to think of it.
Absolutely. So, well, I almost don't know how to follow that up. That's such amazing news. Let's talk about what we're reading then. So, and again, I can't pretend this is a new book, because it's not, but it's a book I really love to dip into. And it's by Philip Collins, who used to be speechwriter for Tony Blair, and who then became a columnist, a kind of centre-left columnist on The Times. And it's his book, When They Go Low, We Go High, Speeches That Shape the World and Why We Need Them. And it's a really interesting book about some of the most famous speeches ever made and why oratory is important. And this is a chat that we quite often have, you know, offline, Andy, which is that, have we lost the art of oratory? Have we lost the art of making a good speech?
Yeah, we've had, like you said, we've had this conversation offline, Mathew, and I definitely do think we have. And I've certainly been learning this from doing my Liberal leaders. Like I polled at the end, on the end credits, I like to poll a speech or a television announcement that they've done as an end credit to sort of clip on as my end credits. And again, Clement Davis, very good orator, and also just the delivery of it. He had a lot of passion in his voice, and he was quite shaky. And I just love. I just think you're right. I think we have lost the art, and I'm just gonna be. It'd be interesting to see as the further I progress in time, when I get to future leaders, how much is the quality of delivering speeches and speech writing declines. I would be very curious to see if I'll start to see a noticeable decline. Even people like leaders like Charles Kennedy, who I really admire, am I going to be looking at Charles Kennedy and go, oh, he was no Joe Grimman though. He was a great orator. What's this? I could see why old people like my dad often do look at the past. I think there's truth. I think we can over romanticize the past, but I think there is an element of truth in that. I think
absolutely.
Well, from what I'm learning, anyway.
But there are still good, you know, speech makers. I mean, Tim Farron at his best. Tim Farron at his best is a bloody good speech maker. And I mean, I remember when during his, it has to be said, brief tenure as LibDem leader, I was physically in person at a number of his conference speeches. Ended up in tears because of the great oratory of his conference speeches. So there are still people in our party and beyond who can deliver a good speech, but I think it's a declining art. And even in the House of Commons now, how rarely do we hear of? You never hear reported, do you? Oh, you must catch this speech in the House of Commons. You never hear people say that.
No, I think that says a lot about our the way we consume media now. I think it all has to be short second clips, and people don't. Again, I'm not even going to blame social media. If you want to blame the decline of that contributed to the decline of this, it's 24-hour news. Just having the camera on there, and you have to be so ready of every question. Nothing's planned, nothing's kind of arranged. But it used to be kind of a cordial relationship between the media and politicians. Because if you want to interview Prime Minister, you would want to I've set a date and all that. But now it's 24 hours. So 24-hour news probably started that, and now with social media, it's all like short clips, stuff like that. So yeah. Mine's quick. I've not really read anything. So unless you include the Bible. So I've been reading the Bible a little bit. Trying to find kind of comfort and sort of meditation. I do find it quite comforting, and it could be good for solace and stuff like that. So yeah, I've just been reading the Bible and just trying to, I guess, really, because when I used to read the Bible, it was kind of, you'd read it at church or at school, and it's just like almost you take it as a literalist approach. And now I'm older, I'm like thinking, well, what does it actually mean? Like, how did it say in English class? Read between the lines. What's the text telling you? What's Shakespeare trying to tell us about this? About the context of whatever. So yeah, I've not really been doing a lot of reading apart from digesting the news and articles, and the Bible. So yeah, mine's quite an easy one, really.
Lovely. So let's end with our person of the week. I'll go first then. So my person of the week, and I've no problem at all with the fact that this happens to be a Labour MP because their party politics is not important, and it's a man called Luke Charters, who in Prime Minister's Questions this week on what happened to be International Men's Day, in a very succinct way, made a very emotional, a very powerful mini speech about his own mental health problems. And he talked about the fact that I think it was during the birth of his first son, he'd almost lost his wife, in childbirth, and that had led to him having, very serious depression, and how he's now come out of that through talking to people and support and etc. He's come through that, and he said that, and this is a regular theme for us on this podcast, Andy, but he was saying that, men need to know that it shows strength to be honest and open when you're going through a tough time. And it got lots of views on social media. Sadly, there were some haters, of course there are, saying, "Oh, man up," and all of this bollocks.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, just F off with that kind of nonsense, because I've just got no time for it." But lots of people, including me, and I think including yourself, Andy, said, thank you to this guy. Whatever your politics, you've been very brave in standing up in the House of Commons and saying that. And I was very pleased, to be fair to the government. I was very pleased that they've launched, I think, the first ever men's health strategy, because, I've often said that I don't know how we've got to a situation where 80 plus men in this country a week under the age of 50 are taking their own life, and that isn't considered some kind of national emergency. We can't just accept it as normal. Never be allowed to be that. These are men that had lives and that had families, and that were still so young, and yet they felt they had nowhere else to turn. And we need to do something about that. And so I'm really pleased that the government has launched this strategy. We await to see the detail and all of that, and that's fine. But I think it's a good first step. So Luke Charters is my person of the week.
Yeah, and I think it's quite an important one, actually, given what you've said about, men. It's criminal that men are so overly represented when it comes to self-harm and suicide and just mental health generally. And I think you're right. It's almost an epidemic, really. And I'm pleased the government are doing a national first and having a national strategy when it comes to men's mental health. So yeah, I think that's an excellent pick, Mathew. So mine is actually going to be, so I am Catholic and we do like our Pope. It's going to be the Pope. So the reason why I picked the Pope is that he's been saying a lot of positive things about the trans community. He's going to be meeting with trans Catholics, and he's going to also meet with other LGBT people. A lot of people were a bit nervous about him because we were, like any cardinal that becomes the Pope, we weren't really sure what his views were when it came to things like LGBT rights, because obviously if you're a true Catholic, you follow what the Pope says, because the Pope has a church supremacy. Whatever the Pope says, it goes. You can't criticise, you can't question it once you've got a Pope. And obviously be being an American Catholics are quite a strange bunch because they're very, very, in some ways, they're quite socialist on their economics. But on social issues, they're a little bit still social, small c conservatives. And I think even Joe Biden got a lot of people, I think it was the first time in history. I think it was the first I think Joe Biden, when he got elected, because he's Catholic himself, but he approves abortion, he's pro-LGBT. He's pro-choice, I shouldn't say he's pro-abortion. Sorry, that's the wrong word. Pro-choice, pro-LGBT. And it did upset quite a few Catholics. They probably agreed with his economic views. You know, we need to do more to help the underdogs, but they didn't. And I think quite a few of them went towards Trump in that election. So that's quite an interesting observation there. A bit different in Latin America, weirdly. I think they're quite socially liberal in Latin America. They're Catholics there, strangely, but that's probably a byproduct of history. Well, yeah, Ron Pope. So yeah, I just think it's really good to see that and to continue the legacy of Pope Francis, and hopefully just live in a world that can heal itself. I think we do need a little bit of healing, especially for our trans siblings, and I think it's very good that the Pope is making these efforts, and it actually makes me a bit sad, really, having just joined the Anglican Church, that it seems like the Catholic Church might be doing a little bit more on this than, the C of E at the moment.
Absolutely, that is very encouraging to hear, and especially in the week where it's been where we marked Trans Day of Remembrance, where we think about I think it's nigh on 300 people around the world this past year who have lost their lives as a result of anti-trans violence. I mean, it's just shocking to think that. And I know that me and you, Andy, obviously agree on this, but I think it's worth saying that, when people engage in transphobia, I sometimes think that they think they're not talking about real human beings with real lives, that they're just talking about some theoretical thing that they can pontificate about. No, these are real people who often face as I said on LBC this week, these are people that face daily persecution when they're just trying to go about their lives as their true self. And I think the fact that, I can't remember the exact figure, I think it was something like 280 odd trans and non-binary people have lost their lives due to anti-trans violence globally this year. That should really be sobering to all of us. And I mean, sadly, I know that my advice won't be followed because it just won't be, but I really hope that certain TV executives and newspaper editors and all the rest of it will just leave trans people be. Just leave them be. Just let them live their lives. It's not asking much.
Completely agree, Matthew. And as a Christian, it kind of reminds me of I do expect the Pope's going to do major breakthroughs when it comes to LGBT rights, but I do think that is the core of Christianity. It's about not judging people, being kind to them. That doesn't necessarily mean you might, I'd like to think, if you're a Catholic, like my view on Catholics and abortion is that I like to think you could be personally against it, but don't judge others who go through that. That's fine. That was my mum's approach to life. And I think it's just having that kindness and compassion, because that's what Jesus taught us when he lived his mortal life here. It's that kindness, compassion, and tolerance. You don't have to agree with everything or accept, agree with the lifestyle or whatever, but that's the core of Christianity. And I think I think that's what I like about religion. And I think if, like you said, these TV executives and producers, maybe they need that calling. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they need some kind of calling to sort of reach out and be kinder to our fellow human beings. So yeah.
Absolutely. We're always told, aren't we, as Christians, that the two most important things to remember are love your God and love your neighbour as yourself. And your neighbour includes trans and non-binary people. It also happens to include immigrants and asylum seekers as well. And I think we should definitely remember that at the moment as well. They are all your neighbour. And don't come to me pretending to tell me that you're a Christian if I then turn to your Twitter bio and see that you're anti-LGBT plus, anti-migrant, anti-asylum seeker. Don't claim to be Christian if you're doing that and if those are your beliefs, because that is not what Jesus would do. It's as simple as that. Folks, we've come to the end. It's been another lengthy one for you. We hope that you've enjoyed it. Look, please tell if you found us, we're really grateful. Please tell your friends and family about us. We're building an audience. It's not easy, you know. We're a new podcast, but we're doing our best. And so, you know, please follow, please subscribe, please find us on Twitter X at Mathew Andy Pod, and we really look forward to joining you in a fortnight's time when there might even be some Christmas bonus footage. How about that? So from Andy, it's goodbye, and from me, Mathew, it's goodbye. We'll see you next time on Mathew and Andy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.